at least one undead enemy. There we go. Here comes some more here, so we can finally start picking up our piety a little bit here with the Shining One. But no, so overall, unfortunately, Natasha did fall in the heat of battle there, but that's why we're jumping in today with Antony, and hopefully we can see a bit more success. I mean, we won't get to the end of the run by any means, as the title suggests, this is just going to be a shorter one this evening, as I need to jump back into getting a couple things done. Ooh, a Cloak of Poison Resistance on Maurice. Now, as long as I'm able to take you out, which might be easier said than done, or not at all, apparently easier done than said at the end of it, especially since I'm apparently just flailing about in my ability to speak here today. Not feeling the most linguistically inclined, I guess. Especially, you know, saying guest instead of guess. That will definitely add some credence and support to that that assumption and claim. Ooh, Mark Trap definitely means that we should start to get into a little bit of safety. We can tuck ourselves into a nice corner though. This way the gnolls with the pole arms aren't going to be able to poke us from afar. And so far, you know, I was going to say things are going well, but then Jeremiah coming in with a +4 trident of draining. Yikes, my friend. At least you can't use that Ice Blast wand against us at this range. And your summons aren't going to be too helpful either, so, you know, small victories and all of that. That is quite the collection of goodies. Cold resistance, probably not worth the swap. Let's stick with our armor class. Being up at 9 AC on a ranged character this early on is pretty fantastic. And we'll see where we go from there. At the very least, we've managed to successfully survive a Mark Trap already, so I'll call that one a win any day of the week. And let's just continue onwards, shall we? Rapier Venom, I'll pick it up. Likely it will end up being thrown away in short order, but at the very least can tuck it into the bag in case, for whatever reason, we make some changes here in the near future. But before we go any further, let's definitely read through a couple more of these ID scrolls. If I could get like Heal Wounds or Degeneration, that's cool too, game. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yikes, yikes. Well, let's drop the +2 cloak, drop our old leather armor. We do still have this ring mail. It's actually worse than the acid dragon scales, so definitely pop that bad boy down for now. Let us hopefully find this Bailey. Should be in a half decent position. Sorry, just noticed that one of these whites was wielding a +8 rapier. Holy moly. Was that the one that we killed? It was not, so we still have that son of a gun coming in with the new crew here. So I want to be slightly careful. I'm guessing that's you, my friend. Yeah, +8 rapier is nothing to sneeze at. Well, 3d7 on the Ice Blast versus our current 17 base damage rate. 74% chance to hit is pretty solid. Let us start with that and then take no risks at the end here. Oh, except you kids are cold resistant, so maybe should just head the other direction. Fantastic. Oops, and that's not the right sword. Let's take a look here. The dex -4 is not great. Willpower though, and it's the +8 is hard to beat. This early on, that's pretty dang huge. Of course, it will slow down our attack unless we throw some training there. Oof, that's a tough call to make. This is a good enough artifact to warrant a complete change in strategies, at least for this stage, right? We can always switch back to ranged a little bit later on in the run. But that is tough. Okay, so we get very distant notice here. So unfortunately, probably have quite the ways to go. I think I might actually use the Scroll of Revelation. And one of these doorways down here should be exactly what we're looking for. So let's start to head down this ways. And nothing really there. I mean, a +5 heavy short bow. It's a bit interesting. It intrigues me. If we can get it down to min delay, this essentially gives us like an early game arbalist. That doesn't seem horrible. We also only need 14 training, which we should get to under a level overall. No, I don't hate the sound of that, so let's just plop that there for now. And might as well check out the bookstore on our way. I thought it might just be a bunch of spell books, so not exactly what we're looking for here today. And yeah, I think we just head into the Bailey, I guess. See how she goes. Ooh, unfortunately not the best arrangement for us. I was hoping it would be one of the moat ones, because then we could take full advantage of our solid range to deal with a lot of these sons of guns, but it is what it is. Okay, that seems to be our path out of here. So I guess there's nothing to do but just continue onwards and upwards. Hope that we continue to clear these sons of guns out at about this same pace. I mean, if we wanted any pole arms, that's definitely what's being served up to us at the moment. Yeah, pole arms as far as the eye can see, but unfortunately I don't think that's quite going to do it for me today. There we go. Now they're starting to all wake up slightly more than originally planned here. So let's just instill some amount of caution. Make sure we don't take on more than we can chew here, because one of these buddies at a time, not the end of the world. Especially you, my friend. Hitting me from afar. So attacks of opportunity do have no problem hitting us, even for polearm users these days. Interesting. Well, I'm going to turn into a tree to give us a little bit more defensive capability, and then just because we were struggling to hit this son of a gun for any damage whatsoever, let's just get to ice blasting to our heart's content. Very happy that we did take the increase in defensive ability there that lignification gives us, because holy moly, that was putting us in rough shape to say the least. Now we're still potentially in trouble as the onslaught continues here, but hopefully that was just about the scariest single enemy that we'll have to come across. Don't mind getting a bunch of potions under our belt, so that is fantastic. And is there anything lying around here that we would wish to potentially take in for the future? +3 trident could be alright, but no, I don't believe so. So we'll just call that one a little bit of a victory. I guess we came out alive, so at the end of the day, that's just about all we can really ask for. Oh, and we probably got a decent amount of money out of that whole affair, but still not quite enough to afford the short bow that we were looking at there. So again, we don't have to worry about paralyzed, so the Hornet, not too bad. Though now that I actually think about it, we also have a cloak of poison resistance that we got super early on here, so regardless of our built-in stasis, still wouldn't have been too big of a deal one way or another. But not too bad. How much money did we just get up to? 390, which means we can afford that heavy short bow. Still a little bit of a ways on getting to min delay with short bows. Our damage will ramp up super quickly when we do make that changeover. Oh, I also never set a cap on fighting, so that was apparently just going to keep on going to infinity and beyond. Let's put some kind of cap in there for the moment here. think I will buy the heavy short bow. Question is, do we swap to it right away? Because we're at 0.7 right now with the 17 damage rating. We'd go up to 34 damage rating. And we're just attacking slightly slower than once per turn. And that's still probably worth it. It's hard to argue with a +5 enchantment this early on in the game, especially since it will also benefit our ability, you know, to hit enemies in the first place. So let's give it a shot. See how it goes, shall we? I mean, Vampire definitely could have caused us a wee bit of trouble there, so I will gladly take that as a fantastic little introduction to the new bow here. Okay, and apparently poison resistance is just growing on trees here this run, so we get another source of that. I mean, the +2 leather armor, I'm guessing that won't really help out our armor class, so we can probably actually just drop that son of a gun for now. There could be, you know, something to be said for coming back to that in the future if we, I don't know, got like a scarf of resistance that we became really attached to. For the moment, I think we'll largely be ignoring it. Hey, keep IDing just each and every single one of our completely useless consumables, whether that be due to our Formicid stasis or the tenants of the Shining One here. It's not exactly ideal, but hey, I don't want to complain too much. We did get a +5 short bow sitting in a shop, so you know, you win some and you lose some, and I think we still come out on top here, all things considered. +1 battle axe, no thank you. And yet another source of poison resistance. I mean, this one not quite as tempting as the leather armor, because I think plate mail is a bit of a non-starter on our ranged character here, but that's fine. Ooh, as we hit min delay on the short bow, that is fantastic. I think we should potentially start training some invocations early on. As soon as we have access to Holy Fire and Phone a Friend, I forget what Call Angel is actually called here, but I think Phone a Friend gets the general vibes across. But as soon as we do get access to those abilities, I would definitely like to immediately be able to utilize that. So Invo is nice, and what else? I guess we could train some armor. At least increases the likelihood that we could potentially start thinking about switching into something a little bit heavier as the run continues onwards here. As well as also, of course, being an increase to our armor class in general as we continue to upgrade that skill. Oh gosh. You know, I was already mentioning my inability to properly speak today, but I didn't realize that would also translate into an inability to drink beverages properly, as I almost choked on my very first sip of the drink here today. But again, I'm definitely a fully functioning human being. I don't have difficulties with the most basic of tasks in my everyday life. That couldn't possibly be me. That doesn't sound right. Right? Okie dokie, let's take our very first ugly thing enemy upstairs, especially with that corrosion being a factor. More than happy to simplify things a little bit. Ooh, and I do believe I just got access to Cleansing Flame. So still way beyond our ability to use at 52% failure, but this is why we started training vocations. Once that's online, it gives us a bit of recourse against groups of enemies, because that's something that, you know, ranged users, while being just absurdly powerful for the most part, are very much centered around single target damage. So we can struggle a little bit with the larger arrays of enemies here. Ooh, and how do I feel about continuing this fight against you, my friend? I'm partially, you know, having flashbacks to the last encounter with the Orc Knight. I mean, we weren't quite hitting as hard as we are now back then, so maybe something to be said for that. Could also just Divine Shield, and that gives us a bit more defensive capability And in fact, we don't really have too much problem taking care of you, my friend. So that is beautiful. Oh, and actually, I probably should have been much more scared of this pyromancer. Yikes. Stop, drop, and roll for a moment there, but holy moly. Fortunately, still somehow making it through in one piece. I haven't found my lair entrance, right? I'm not just completely losing my mind. No, it's guaranteed to be somewhere on this floor. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately, we're just, yeah, fighting wave after wave of enemies that are in that awkward spot of just being slightly too powerful for me to deal with. I mean, it's so far working out for us, but I think that's largely due to a healthy dose of luck playing a pretty integral role in the entire thing. There we go. Okay, Yak Pack. Not too horrible for us here. And I'm thinking we can potentially beat you in a ranged contest, my centaur friend, though it did end up being a little bit closer than I'd care for. Not too shabby. Is this going to be our lair entrance? Definitely looks to be the right general vibe and flavor overall. Fortunately, we do have some Wands of Flame, so our eel friends here shouldn't be too much of an issue. Feel more experienced, love to see it. And we'll definitely pick up the Troll Leather Armor. This does put us into an awkward spot of once again deciding if we want to make any changes. I mean, I love being at 12 armor class. That's huge for us here. But losing a few of those for regen, I mean, if you've watched any of our previous runs, you're very likely to be in the loop when it comes to my love and adoration for the regeneration ego. But we'll leave it alone for now, potentially. You know, think about it as something to switch to. I mean, even could be in the near future, but for the moment, I'm not going to worry too much about it one way or another. And there we go. We've now found both our orc and our lair. So the question becomes, do we want to jump straight into lair, or we could be crossing our fingers and hoping that, like, Orc 1 has an arc list for us. I'm not sure if it will be really worth swapping into immediately. Again, the +5 short bow is kind of working for us at the moment. So maybe can dip our head into lair, see how things are looking, see if we have any level of comfort dealing with the enemies here. I also, once again, completely forgot about our ant-based stasis, so, you know, that little spatial dislocation trap, not actually a big deal for us at the end of the day. Short sword of venom, perfect. Always scared with Sonya, of course, that they're going to be wielding a distortion branded weapon, but we get a little bit lucky here. In fact, getting to re-up, add a couple of Curari darts to our repertoire as well is a bit of a win-win, really, at the end of the day. Fantastic. And this is a lovely little intro into lair. Can hardly complain whatsoever about this. Now, the question becomes, as we have another ID scroll on us here, do I keep digging, trying to find that heal wounds? It'd be nice to have a little bit of an out for if and when the next scary encounter goes sideways. I mean, I probably should. Even getting curing would be nice, but apparently we're just going to ID anything and everything in between before we get to that point. So a bit of a strange one. I mean, it doesn't help that I believe that Bailey having an assortment of potions might have lent itself to us having quite a few more. Sorry, bit distracted here as things come back to bite us in the butt. Oh gosh, I got way too cocky after our first encounter with a death yak that went fairly smoothly. And now this is a bit more what I was originally expecting. So, oh my gosh, random energy. You are savior and a scholar is what I was gonna say, but then, you know, random energy giveth and random energy taketh away, unfortunately. Let's do a quick check. Unfortunately, these Sons of Guns have such high will that I don't have a lot of faith in the fear. Turns out it's well placed as well. So what can I do with you? Our chance of paralyzing with the wand was 1%, so not exactly gonna do the trick. I could just start cleansing flame. How much damage are you doing now, my friend? Probably not a whole lot. Dispersal trap would help, because it won't affect us, and it will affect our friend here. Holy moly, ugly paintings, you're coming in here with the life-saving advice. Did I just... I just used my quivered fear scroll at some point there. Oh no, I'd already used it up. Okay, never mind. Ignore me. I'm losing my mind in every which way here today. Which again, maybe not so far out of the ordinary to be even worthy of commenting, but holy moly, it is what it is. So, I'm thinking, can I, like, just abuse this dispersal trap? I have to be careful that none of the yaks are going to step on it, of course. Oof, which leaves us in a tricky spot here. Do that. There we go. I was hoping that would work out, but a little bit of a risk taking the step off. Don't know if this was really worth endeavoring to do in the first place. I probably should have swapped to Orc, tried to get a little bit more experience under the belt before immediately just diving headfirst into the Death Yak horde, but I mean, it's kind of working out for us, at least to a certain extent. Oh, and you know, I was so worried before about, like, oh, I need to be positioned just so that I can step back on the trap. Enemy stepping on the trap triggers it. So what am I doing with my life? Oh me, oh my. But there we go. We can at the very least paralyze our frog friend there. So that is fantastic. And then you, my Death Yak friend, can continue to come forward here, I guess. And we'll just keep dodging around as best we can, which is apparently not great. But oh me, oh my. Not only do we owe our lives to Ugly Paintings chiming in chat to save us in that initial outcome, it also pointed out the top level Formicid strategy and allowed us to abuse it long enough to get through the rest of the Death Yaks as well. So I appreciate you, friend. Thank you.